Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to another Morgan James book launch. My name is Jim Howard. I'm the publisher for Morgan James. And today I'm really excited because we've got an amazing author to introduce you to, Terry Weston Marsh. And Terry is the author of Scourge, The Kiss of Death. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Jim, it's my pleasure. Thanks for letting me be here.
Oh, I'm excited. I have really enjoyed this book, and this one is right up my alley. Right, most people don't know I love nonfiction and business books and all the books that we do, but my favorite, just downtime beach level read is your book. So,
Oh,
can you just tell us a little bit about just an overview what this book is
yeah,
about?
great. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, Scourge: The Kiss of Death is a medieval fantasy adventure novel. It's a young adult, and basically, the scourge of the title is a plague-like illness, and it threatens to wipe out old Earth. A young peasant is our main character. He finds that he's got to battle a murderous tyrant to save himself, his country, and the woman he loves. And that's kind of the arc of the story.
Outstanding, and it's so well written, guys. When you read Terry's book, it takes you through all the emotions. It takes you through the ups and downs, with the excitement. The story is beautifully done, and everything's there that you want, and just a good read. So I encourage all of you to check this one out. But Terry, did you have any challenges when you were writing this book?
Yeah, Jim, that's a good question. I'd say the biggest challenge, this is a medieval fantasy adventure novel, so there's some world building involved, and that was tons of fun. But I didn't want to get carried away with that because the real story is about the characters, the challenges they face, the choices they have to make, the adventures they go through. And as far as choices, Jim, there's such a thing as an impossible choice where no matter what you do, which way you go, there's no ideal outcome. And I think everybody's familiar with Sophie's Choice, which was a book and then a famous movie, as kind of the classical example. But in Scourge, our main character, Jeffrey, faces several impossible choices. At one point in the story, he's got to choose between saving the lives of the two people he loves the most on earth versus saving the lives of thousands of innocent people. So it was challenging to figure out, okay, how does he make his decision? What does he end up doing? What are the consequences? And I found that challenging, but I also found it a fun part to write. And there was another big challenge, in this genre, fantasy adventure. It's all about usually superpowers or magical abilities, or a character has a special destiny.
Mm.
And I always have found, lately anyway, that that's kind of seems like cheating because all of a sudden, poof, that special ability just bails the main character out just at the right moment, right? So, but I wanted my characters, like my readers, like me, like all of us humans, we have to suffer. We have to find our own ways. We have to learn. We have to be challenged, and we have to strive to find out sometimes who we really are. And so I wanted my characters to find that out in their own strength, and not just be saved at the bell, so to speak, by magical powers. And so far, the early readers, nobody has said, "Oh, Terry, character XYZ should have had the ability to jump super high," or "Character QRS should have had a magic sword." So nobody's been bothered by that.
I
So
think
that was
yeah,
challenging.
and I think sometimes that realism is what can allow us to connect maybe a little deeper to the characters because we can see more of ourselves in that. And
Yeah.
that's an incredible way. I love the way you displayed that in the book. And I can imagine that would be quite the challenge, coming up with impossible choices and then figuring out what are the ramifications for that. I couldn't imagine. That's why I'm not a fiction writer and you are. So so
Thank you.
speaking to that, what makes you a unique, or qualified voice, if you will, to write this story?
Well, that's a good question. For the title Scourge, like I said, that's an illness like bubonic plague. So there's a lot of descriptions of disease. There's descriptions of injuries and death, and I'm a retired medical doctor, so that experience helped me a ton there. And I wanted it to be described in an interesting way, but also accurately. So succinctly, accurately, and interestingly, as far as any of the medical details. And the other thing, probably a bigger thing that qualifies me, if you will, is Scourge deals as there in the character interactions. There's that difficulty of the parent-child relationship, particularly father-son issues. And I myself in my own life have lived that. I've seen that across several generations of my own family. That's a real difficult issue. And I guess the qualifier there to write about that is having lived it, having been on the planet more than a few years, I guess. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now I'm going to ask you maybe the hardest question of all, because this is like asking which kids you love better, right? Um, I mean, is there a favorite section? Do you have a favorite section of the book or?
Yeah, if I think about that, you're right. You want to say, well, the whole book, of course, but I would probably have to pick the ending of the book, the
Mm,
climax. Jim, I wanted a double martyr moment where each of the two main characters is willing to lay down his or her life for the other. And uh, if you remember the Disney movie Tangled, I think 2010, they brilliantly executed double martyr moment there at the end. And yet at the same time, I wanted to write an ending that was uplifting and hopeful because I
mm,
love happy endings. No matter what they've been through, I want to close a book and feel good and inspired. And so I really that part of the ending I like. The other thing about the ending that I like is there's really five characters all together that kind of come together at the end, at the climax, and each of them has begun their journey in a various state of loss or despair or hopelessness or weakness. And throughout their character arc, each one in his or her own way has had to find the strength and the courage to do what must be done. And
mm,
not necessarily what's best for them, but the right thing, to do the right thing. And I think I like that section because that speaks to one of the themes of the book, which is courage. The courage of a few individuals, can change the world.
mm.
And in some cases, can save the world. So yeah, I guess I like that part of the book the best.
That's awesome. Well, I can say I like the whole book because I didn't write it. So I can very comfortably say that. But Terry, do you have a copy of the book you can show?
Oh
Because
yeah,
this
sure.
cover, I love the cover of your book. It came out so well. Such an exciting looking book, and it matches the story.
Yeah, I have to give credit to the team at Morgan James, Jim, your staff, that the designers, the copyists, interior exterior design. They just did a beautiful job, and they were very meticulous every step of the way to make this look the best it could possibly look. And I've like I said, the early response, I've taken it in, shown it to a few bookstores, and they pick it up and they go like, "Oh wow!" And I'm real happy with what you guys came up with.
Outstanding. So Terry, I know people are watching us today. Maybe they've got a copy of the book on order or waiting to receive their copy from the stores. But what is the best way for them to connect with you to find out more?
Really, Jim, the best way to connect with me as an author is at my website, scourgenovel.com. So that's all one word, scourgenovel.com. And from there, there's links to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and that sort of thing. Some of my other projects are connected there as well. So yeah, scourgenovel.com. You can find me.
Awesome. So everyone out here watching this today, make sure you grab a copy of Scourge. It is an incredible book. Terry has written a wonderful journey that takes you through, like I said, all the emotions, all the excitement, all the entertainment factor that you would want. It lives in Scourge, the Kiss of Death. And I hope you go out and get your copy. It's available where books are sold. So online, offline, in the formats that you want it in. So you can get that copy easily and connect with Terry. Go to his website, check out what he's got going on, go to his social media pages and see what's next. So Terry, thank you for just writing an amazing, very compelling book. and two, for just taking the time to talk with us today.
Uh, you're very welcome, Jim. It was my pleasure, and thank you very much. And again, hats off and many thanks to Morgan James Publishing. Couldn't have done it without them.
Well, we can't do it without you, and we can't do it without you watching either. So, everyone watching today, thank you so much for tuning in to today's conversation, and we hope to see you on our next one.
Thank you.